All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. It will be. I see about 100 people waiting. I see that chat is working. It should be fine. We've got to save the world, everyone. Those of you fellow Americans, of course, all pour out to vote for Donald Trump because, as I will explain, it goes beyond our particular borders and impacts all of our friends and enemies, by the way, around the world. So we'll be looking into that. You can go to vote.gov to register to vote. You can also register in person in many states. I'm not sure about all of the state laws, but you can look into that. Just Google it. It'll take you 5 minutes. Make sure to get ready to vote. It is extremely important. 2 weeks before the meltdown begins, yes, indeed, I believe that Donald Trump will win the election. If nothing else changes in the next 2 weeks, nobody dies, nobody is incapacitated, nothing crazy happens, and the time is growing short for that to occur, then I would suspect that Donald Trump probably was a stream just switched on in your mid-sentence. Yeah, my apologies for that. There's nothing that I can do about it. I don't have an intro set up over on Rumble. Man declared dead wakes up on operating table as doctors prepare to remove his heart. This is a case from Kentucky. It's sort of, I'll give you a little bit of interesting history about the White Death, tuberculosis, some of the vampire scare in New England, some other interesting factoids, but it's actually quite frightening when you think about it. Judge will hear arguments to block Louisiana's 10 Commandments display requirement in schools. Yeah, it'll carry in the end. I don't think that they're going to be able to uphold that unless it's under the conventional wisdom of comparative religion, of course. Here's a fluff piece from Vanity Fair, but we're going to reanalyze it a little bit. Kamala Harris isn't repeating the mistakes of 2016. No, she's making a whole bunch of new mistakes. They're trying to fluff her up. And finally, will Trump outperform polls again in 2024? Yes, but we're not exactly sure by what margin, so we'll be analyzing that as well. I watched, by the way, Fight Club last night for the first time. Believe it or not, I'd never seen it before. It's excellent. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It's now one of my top favorite movies. It was a fantastic. If you've never seen Fight Club, you're not supposed to talk about it, by the way, should definitely take a look at that movie. Some fucking hilarious moments in that movie, too. Boy, oh boy, does that jerk you around. Misael Fraga, why should libertarians vote for Trump? Because the current Libertarian Party is incapable of winning. And so you're trying to limit damage. He does have some libertarian leanings, you'll see. Certainly on the free expression issue. Certainly light years away from the Kamala Biden sort of bullshit that you see with the Second Amendment. And in league with people like fucking Elon Musk, who I think lean even more libertarian. If only for self-serving economic reasons at times, by the way. The Happy Plague Doctor. Jesus Christ, you are a manlet. I'm 6'2", actually. Yeah, Fight Club is a pretty great fucking movie. I liked the Lou scene. You know, when Lou shows up there, that was pretty fucking funny. I burst out laughing at that because it's just so off the wall. I'm not going to give any spoilers, though, for those who have not actually watched the movie. Should definitely watch it, though. Definitely worth it. Also got new legal updates this morning that are quite optimistic, so I'm very happy about that. I'm in an optimistic, ultra white-pilled mood today, actually. Lou, please let us use the basement, Lou. God damn, that is insane. Yeah, Sam the Gray, I hadn't actually until last night. I hadn't seen it before. Now I'm like, oh shit, I should have seen this long ago. I think I'm getting a call coming in, actually. Just a second. Get a call. I'm like, I'm live streaming. Click. I've got to do some things, you know. Yeah, there should be like a real life Fight Club, actually. That'd be funny. I mean, it probably is, but no, that wasn't my lawyer. You gotta realize I have business contacts and family and stuff on my phone too. So yeah, what the fuck is happening with Timcast? That's another thing I wanted to ask. I should probably message him directly. because I've been on his show. I had great fun. That was right when that dude beheaded his dad. Like, it broke live while we're on the show, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not real. Unfortunately, it turned out it was in the end. Anyways, let's get right into the news. First, go to vote.gov, or you can check in with your local and state laws to see if you have voter registration available now in your state. I beseech you all to vote. It may be that you're like me. I'm in a far blue state. Trump's not going to win the electors from the state of Vermont, but it's one more vote towards the popular vote, and that is of import. What we're trying to do is get Trump the election in the electoral sense, but we're also trying to get him as many popular votes as possible. The closer that gap is, especially if he jumps over and wins the popular vote, the less that the leftoids can ramble about democracy. If he manages to win the popular vote, and I'm not willing to bet that yet, although I am seeing some positive signs towards it not being nearly as lopsided as in 2020, the less they can ramble about democracy. We need to eliminate the Electoral College. If he wins both, that issue for 4 years is effectively off the table. And I think that that would be a positive thing. Keep in mind, though, we're not just voting for the US president. We're voting for the chief diplomat of the entire Western world. Now, would you like that to be someone who is going to be pressured into starting a war like Kamala will inevitably be, or someone who has shown remarkable reluctance towards exacerbating international situations, a la Donald Trump? Since I don't want any of the younger clankers to get drafted off into World War III or have to go die in a desert or a jungle somewhere, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. If only for that purpose, I would still be voting for him. I like the tax relief. I like the idea of securing the border. I like the idea of saving a shit ton of money by deporting people that are not legally in the country. But those are just the icing on the cake. Mainly, it's about, once again, as with 2016, preventing World War III, because I don't want to see millions of people die. While Fallout Real Life sounds good on paper, in practice, I'm sure that it's not quite as fun. Radioactive leak jokes aside, no thank you. Lord of the Ree, Tim, everyone who works with me is retarded, and the responsibility I refuse to delegate to others is too much for me, wah, wah, wah. Maybe don't hire people off of Instagram or learn how businesses work. I like Tim, and I don't understand people's animus towards him. The fact is that sometimes bad decisions are made. I don't know what decisions he's made, so I'm not going to crawl up his ass. Boycott Warhammer Plus. Oh, yep, Sticks. What's up with Tim? Saw his rant on X. I don't know exactly. I'm not 100% sure exactly what's going on with that. I'm going to reach out to him later and see if I can figure out, if he's willing to talk to me exactly what's going on. Baked, Awake, and Great. Durban Poison. Yeah, I've used Durban Poison. It's definitely giggly weed, that's for sure. Doesn't smell that great, though. Compared to, lemon haze or something like that, cranberry. Those does have a really sticky, sweet smell. Like, they smell like weed is supposed to smell. Durban Poison doesn't really have the scent factor so much, even after it's, cured. But it smokes well, and, it feels good. Just making sure, disclaimer, I'm not encouraging you to use narcotics. Lord of the Reed, just to be clear, I don't hate Tim and watch him from time to time, but when someone is being retarded, we need to call it out. Well, aren't we all retarded sometimes? The thing is, I can't jump down his ass because I don't know the situation. I'm going to have to get it straight from him because I've talked to him before. I've been on his show. I like the dude. No flowers in her hair. I am not smoking weed. I did back in the day, though. Back when I was at UVM and stuff. Yeah, I smoked marijuana. I was never a huge marijuana smoker, though. I preferred the psychedelics because I was looking for a spiritual experience, and weed is more like, hey, I'm relaxing. Albin Johnson, we're going to be talking about the splattered kids. We'll be talking about the annihilated babies. Do you think that's funny, Kamala? Do you find it amusing that we'll be talking about the mangled kids? Yeah, she'd go, ha, ha, ha. She'd start cackling. That's the problem. Sparky, is President Steinmeier of Germany giving Biden the Grand Cross of Merit after the U.S. blowing up Nord Stream finally came to light in the MSM, the most epic cuck move in history? Yeah, but look who's leading the German government. Chris Crow, Tim's graphics card fries and he had a temper tantrum, but he acts like a child rather than having a company meeting. Again, I'm not going to drag him because I have absolutely no idea about the situation. I want to get it from him. This is the same as with Matt and Blonde. I don't know 100% the situation. I've been on their show. I've talked with both of them separately. I'm not going to crucify anyone. I don't get into the e-drama side of things. I just find it petulant and boring. MDK. Hey, Sticks, don't know if you will agree with me, but I think after the election we will enter a recession or a crash. I don't think it'll be nearly as bad if Trump wins, though. No black pill. Exactly. We're headed for a problem economically. With Trump, it's a soft landing, guaranteed. With Kamala, it's a hard landing. She'll continue the same policies that are bubbling things up and causing problems to begin with. Copium Poppies. Sticks, we sent you a DM showing you a copy of our album art. Disregard. Something went wrong either with image compression or something wrong with one of our devices and how it displays images. So no clue if you got the good images or not. Thank you. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you. Crusader Capitalist. I'm thinking about exclusively donating to my state, Ohio GOP party and local candidates after this election. Should I still donate to national PACs? Look into them and make sure where the money is going. Brandon Waste-Miller. Read another book by Chuck Palahniuk, same author as Fight Club, called Survivor. Should have made that one a movie. Highly recommend. Have a great day. Bocephus. Matt Christensen fired Blonde. She was too lazy. Yeah, again, I want to get all sides of any story before I even bother talking about it. Bara, do you support Trump's tariff plan? Please explain. I support a half and half version where it's like half tariff based, but I do believe in abolishing the income tax. I also believe in nullifying property taxes, making it clear that up to a certain arbitrary amount, that properties, residential, primary residences shouldn't be taxed at all. The federal government needs to make it clear that states should not be converting people into a rental class. 2 weeks before the meltdown begins. Yes, indeed. 2 weeks to go until the presidential election. If I guessed right now, Trump would win the national election. This will cause a meltdown. We saw it in 2016. In 2016, you saw, right after the election results were announced, what happened? People in pink hats. No! You got that famous image of the primal scream therapy. You've got people rioting. You've got people protesting. You got people coming out and saying, oh my God, hell is frozen over. World War III is going to begin, and all this other hyperbolic bullshit. Imagine that, but 10 times more of it. That's basically what you're going to get. It's the best thing for the country, really. A little bit of shock therapy. Let the leftoids run rampant, go on a rampage, show their ass, as they've done before, and remind people, hey, this is why we voted for Trump in the first place, because these people are goddamn orangutans. They don't know what they're doing. God, I love these. Couldn't get them for years. Would have to go all the way to Burlington to get the Irish coffee, the Irish cream monsters. My favorite one. One of the few sugary things I'll actually drink, by the way. Garant. Tim appears to want to be friends, not boss. Need to fire people early and not keep bad performers. He needs to hire a CEO or showrunner and trim fat. I'm not going to give somebody like Tim business advice considering his net worth. Sparky, it's worth noting that Israel has killed far more Americans than Iran has. Remember the USS Liberty. True. Jimmy Yorkshire has a good point. Check your printed ballot is what you actually selected. Yes, make sure to double check, because we have had problems, especially on election day itself in the last few elections, with people, they select one candidate and it selects the other and weird shit like that. 2 weeks away. I strongly believe that the election will go in Trump's favor, even if it's closer than 2016. And it's difficult to tell. This ties in with the last thing that we'll talk about today, which is, will Trump outperform the polls? If so, by how much? And of course, we still got a couple of weeks of polls. I'm not going to be able to give a final read or a final estimation per state and for the Senate, the House, the presidency in general until right before the election, within 48 hours of it. Keep in mind, I want you to register. I want you to vote, even if you're in a state that's already spoken for. You're in a deep red state, so you're like, well, Trump will win it. Go vote anyway. You're in a blue state and you're like, well, you're in California or Washington state. Well, the Harris campaign automatically wins. That's fine. Your vote is still tabulated in the national popular vote. It's important to get Trump at the very least close to Kamala, if not over the edge, so that he wins the popular vote. This takes the mud democracy, electoral college thing off the table. Long Walks Music. Sticks, I sent a Rumble rant near the beginning of the stream, but not sure it went through and don't feel like typing again. Clank. Let's see. Uploaded 2 new covers on Rumble, YouTube, and Bandcamp. Hank Williams' music recently entered public domain, so I've been having some fun. Also, a Halloween-related cover coming soon. Clank. Sounds spooky 3 me. Yeah, the Meltdown will be legendary. Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell. It's going to be hilarious. And I think that that's what's going to happen. I'm more confident than I was in 2020. Almost as confident as in 2016. I'm seeing the meme energy return. I'm seeing better polling. Kamala's a fucking wreck at this point. Every time she comes out in public, she wears off the Kasich effect a little bit more. And boy, oh boy, was I prescient with that one. I should write a booklet on the subject of the Kasich effect. Look back at the last elections and see how it affects things. Basically, if you've got a known quantity versus a relatively unknown quantity, people who don't like the known quantity will default to the unknown, even if they would otherwise default to the known quantity simply because they know less about the unknown quantity, if that makes any sense. Effectively, you've got something here. You've got a plate, and it's got a couple foods on it that you pretty much like. It's got some shit on it that you fucking hate, like roasted Brussels sprouts. Maybe you're not into that like I am. And then you've got the surprise box over here. You're not sure what food is inside of it. Maybe it smells okay. And you're like, well, this dinner's okay. You know, I like the steak tartare and I like the potatoes, but I hate Brussels sprouts and that drink looks ghastly. There's some oatmeal, it's soyant or something. I'm not really sure that I'm into that, but I don't know what's in this box. Well, I don't really like this one that much. Maybe I'll just take the surprise box. Now, could be the surprise box is exactly what you wanted to order. Could be a nice big pizza loaded with pineapple, sans Razor Fist. Or it could be a pile of dog shit. You're not 100% sure. Bocephus, Matt Christensen accidentally fired Tim Pool. What the fuck? What? This is a very, very interesting and very, very scary story. Man declared dead wakes up on operating table as doctors prepare to remove his heart. He's an organ donor. According to NPR, 2 doctors and a surgeon refused to participate in the organ transplant procedure following the alleged incident. Apparently, he was moving around, had opened his eyes and stuff, and they were saying, well, it's just a natural reaction during the decomposition process. It's not indicative that he's alive. He was alive. By the way, he did survive, thankfully. Claiming one said they didn't want anything to do with it. She described the incident as chaotic and upsetting. The organ retrieval was then canceled. Nicolia Martin, a CODA worker, backed up Miller's claims, saying she was shocked when reviewing Hoover's case that he had shown signs of life while doctors examined his heart to see if they could proceed with a heart transplant. Hoover's sister, Donna Royer, told NPR her brother opened his eyes while being wheeled from intensive care to an operating room, but was told the movement was reflective and wasn't a sign he was alive. You'd think they would check the vitals at that point. Apparently, this escaped their notice. Martin claimed when the patient woke up, medical staff sedated him and proceeded with plans to remove his organs. She claimed CODA officials downplayed the incident, which left her horrified. Imagine, they think you're dead and you're strapped to the slab, so to speak, and you're awake. You are no longer dead. Yeah, he had overdosed, actually. And you're actually aware of what's going on around you, and all of you see above you is a bunch of doctors mumbling to themselves about whether they can rip your heart out of your chest while you're still alive. I'm not surprised that they're being sued. This brings up historical precedent, by the way. Look at the White Death, tuberculosis, many, many moons ago. Back then, people didn't understand the decomposition process so much, leading to tales of like the New England vampires, because they'd open the 2 people would get sick. And they'd say, well, this person got sick and now their family is getting sick because they didn't understand contagion. They'd exhume them and they'd find like fresh blood dripping down their face and stuff. They would assume it was a vampire. And there's actually one buried at the crossroads underneath an enormous slab of rock in Woodstock, Vermont, right in the center of the green. They thought that the fact that it was at a crossroads would, sort of keep them down. They buried them under a slab of granite, if I remember correctly, several tons in size, because they didn't understand it. They didn't understand that a body, especially if you're burying it under cold conditions, will start to, once again, decrepitate in its tomb. and therefore fluids would continue to drip from it for an extensive period of time. They thought it was fresh blood. Of course, it wasn't. It was from the body itself. And it'd be all bloated as though it had just consumed a person's blood. And so they thought the spread of tuberculosis within families didn't have to do with contagion. It had to do with the fact that a person had come back from the grave to effectively haunt people. It's an interesting work, not quite contemporary, earlier, 1830s, by Sinistrari, Dr. Sinistrari. He was a Catholic. He makes the claim that the reason why there were like deformed kids and shit like that was because corpses would be possessed by demons, crawl out of the grave, and then go copulate with young females. No, he actually believed this, and this was only 200 years ago. So we're not talking ancient history. We're not talking antiquity. We're talking relatively modern times. We're talking, hey, people are starting to develop steam engines and shit like that, and all of these other things. Not exactly ancient history. Got to the point where people were so terrified of being buried alive that they would actually have like little rope pulleys that led down into the actual tomb, that if the person woke up, they'd been buried alive, they could ring the bell and then they could hopefully exhume them. As far as I know, there were no cases where this ever happened, but it's entirely possible, because they didn't have modern embalming, that is the case. He's lucky that he didn't get, by the way, embalmed. The fact that he was an organ donor arguably saved his life. Apparently he's recovering, although he has some issues with memory, walking, and talking. So they're reviewing the allegations in this case, the Kentucky Attorney General's office, as they should. I would think that at the very least that would leave the man with permanent PTSD. I know it would me. You wake up on the slab, you're like, where the fuck am I? Oh, shit. I'm about to die. For the second time, by the way. Bob383. Tim's show PC had problems on Friday. Told someone to fix it. They didn't. Monday, PC failed. He had a tantrum. Yeah, again, I'm going to get it straight from him. Give him that respect. He's been kind enough to have me on his show. I thought his staff were all very professional, very friendly. So I'm not going to jump down his throat. Christus Dominus, Christ is Lord. While I disagree, I agree with your ability to say that, especially if you're paying me. Sparky, BRICS has come a long way since I recommend Clank Nation should join BRICS. You dismissed the idea, saying I was mad, a danger to myself and others. Have you changed your mind? Summits in 2 days. No, my opinion on the East Bloc has not changed. The same authoritarian dysfunction remains. I just hope we can purge it from the Western world and strengthen ourselves. Mr. Baker, voted early here in Florida yesterday. First time I've ever voted one party down ballot, but you can't trust the Dems these days. Yeah, as a non-Republican, there are only a couple of Democrats I can think of running for local election that I would vote for. I'm not sure if they're running at all. Felix Fanboy Rico, can we talk about Timcast briefly? Since last night I've been seeing news and leftist live streams celebrating Tim's supposed quitting. Oh, he'll be fine. He might change his operations. He might streamline. He might do any of a number of things. He's very versatile when it comes to business acumen. You can tell. He also seems to enjoy his job. I can't imagine walking into his front office is the size of a small house. He's got like arcade games, pool table, fucking everything. There's like vending machines. He's got it all. If he were to liquidate some of his holdings and just compact things, he'd be just fine. He'll be fine. I think that news of Tim Pool's demise are greatly exaggerated, partially by people who, for some reason, do not like him. His basement, yes, is a skate park, just to be clear. He lives an interesting lifestyle. I think some people are just jealous of him, honestly. Hell, there are people that are jealous of me. Redane, what is your opinion on the sovereign citizens? Legally untenable, but on paper a good idea. Yes, that is a good point, delicious goat meal. Do not leave any of your circles blank. Fill out everything. Yeah, it takes a couple of minutes. Boo-hoo, so what? Do that, because otherwise somebody can come along and fill it in. We don't want a bunch of down-ballot Dems that you didn't vote for to be voted in anyway because somebody was unscrupulous. Sam the Gray, Sticks, you read my comment from chat earlier for free. There are no free rides. Early voting lines were out the door yesterday. Here's hoping for a popular vote win, Trump 2024. Yes, we're hoping for that because then the Democrats won't have anything to complain about other than Russia. And that'd be even funnier. Felix Fanboy Rico, I'm jealous of you, Sticks. I wish I had your hair. Well, you can. All you got to do is let it grow out. Cooking Inferno. Watch Werner Herzog's remake of Nosferatu. Beautiful film and nicely conjoins vampires and the spread of disease. Sounds good. I like the 90s version of Dracula best. The one with Annie Lennox during her diva period, doing the song Love Song for a Vampire. Also beautiful music video. BW. You should have seen the line yesterday, Sticks. I went to vote on the first day of early voting, and we stood outside in the heat in Texas for 1 hour, 45 minutes, and there were people wrapped around the school. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah, everyone, pour out to vote. Get Trump the popular vote, not just the electoral vote. Josephus, Blonde-Fired Tim, Matt and I made love. I can see this is going to become a meme. Lord of the Ree, the cool thing about atheism is that even by the slim chance they're right, who cares? If souls don't exist, then why even bring it up in the first place? It's not like you're saving anyone. Clank. Let's get to our sponsors before we get to the second half of the subjects here. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. I take one every day. I wouldn't be pitching it if I didn't. Seems to be neuroregenerative, but that's just an anecdote. Disclaimer, not medical advice. They do seem to energize me, though. And just look at me go. 5 videos a day, live streams, dual live streams twice a week, then impromptu shit whenever needed. Pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, engraved spoons, glassware, and much more. Ouroboros logo. There's some Clank memorabilia there. All sorts of good stuff. There's some bookmarks for the bibliophile in your life. After all, it's almost the holiday season. If you go to the retail stores, they assure me that the day after Halloween is basically the first day of Christmas. BiltongUSA.com or AntonsUSA.com, where you can get delicious biltong. Yes, Anton's got some sweet meat to put in your mouth. Get some cabanasi, get some bison, get some Wagyu. I've got some more coming actually in the next shipment. I'm very excited about that. Put it in with some of those Japanese soups. It definitely works. Yeah, it just works. Also, he's got other things available there as well. All sorts of cool South African imports. WickedNeedleEmbroidery.BigCartel.com, where you can get Stick, Sex, and Hammer hats. I've got one in the other room. Actually, I've got one right here. No, I didn't even realize that. Why am I not wearing this shit? This is one of the 2 designs. The other one has a larger Ouroboros off-center. It's in several colors as well. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, where you can get a seed survival bucket. Those are really cool. Most of the stuff I grew in the garden, including the little pumpkin here, the Turk's turban squash, that's all from them. You can also get 2 different varieties of Stick, Sex, and Hammer soap. We've got cedar, clove, and blueberry. That's the blue bar. I like that best, I think. And then there's the lavender marjoram, which is a pink bar. That's for the ladies. Websterswares.com/sticks-wares. All sorts of miscellany available there, including Trump merchandise. You come for the sticks, you stay for the Trump. We've got metal straws. Use those regularly. You just get a pipe cleaner. You can use it over and over. No more need to buy the disposable ones. Bullshit. Disposable straws kill turtles. Supposed to chop their heads off and turn them into soup and then use the metal straw to slurp their innards, I suppose. Also knives. We've got beanies. We've got all sorts of stuff available. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMNbean.com. The land of Clank coffee. Yes, indeed. And it is smooth. It gives a good buzz. You're getting plenty of caffeine with that one. Other blends and also teas available as well. Let's see. Sir Thomas Drake. Someone shit on my headphones. I'm not blaming Bonehead yet. Let's see. Just a second here. William McDowell Jr. sent $2. No comment. Thank you. Josephus, Lana Loktef fired everyone. Lana is dictator 2024. Andrew Van Halen, I decided to take a break from Twitter. This election has been giving me anxiety with all the shenanigans going on. I'm probably overreacting. Again, just check the polls against 2016. The picture becomes clear. Lev Polyakov, good morning, Sticks. Can't wait for the Biltong Drovors to arrive today. Halloween-related question. Do you recall what the Hell Realm looked like when you overdosed long ago? Any particular details? Yes, things on invisible fire melting up towards the blackened sky and ruins everywhere. It's pretty cool. Looked a little bit like, when you turn into a vampire in Skyrim, in one of the add-ons, you have to go to like the underworld, basically, the land of the dead. Kind of like that, I guess. A little bit. Not quite the same, but similar. Cooking Inferno. Sorry, Sir Thomas, it was me. Bad diarrhea after tacos last night. Judge will hear arguments to block Louisiana's 10 Commandments display requirement in schools. Yes, the Louisiana government has decided that effectively every school has to display the 10 Commandments in every public school classroom. So not just in the school in general, but every classroom. This is blatantly unconstitutional in its current form. Now, if you were to have like a comparative religion board, and, you'd have the 10 Commandments, and here's, an excerpt from the Talmud, and there's the spaghetti strainer or something, that would be constitutional. It's just comparative religion. You're not encouraging anyone to actually engage in any religion. And the state is not mandating any particular religion be represented. This is a particular representation from Christendom and only Christendom. If you're going to have in a public taxpayer-funded school that kind of display, then technically, if anyone in that district comes from a different religion, they ought to legally be able to demand equal representation. And this is the can of worms that keeps being opened up, especially by Christian groups. To an extent now, in some areas, Islamic groups as well, which is the idea that only one religion will be represented in a taxpayer-funded edifice, a court, a school, wherever it happens to be. If it's a religious school or something like that, of course, they can do whatever the fuck they want, regardless of the religion. If it's a specifically non-religious school, strictly secular, they can say, no, we're not going to have that in the school. But if it's taxpayer funded, you have to have equal representation. Certainly at the state level, they can't simply force non-Christian students to have to sit there and look at the 10 Commandments. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. The First Amendment enshrines the ability of all people to practice their faith the way that they want. But it also precludes the state explicitly from establishing a religion. Now, it refers specifically to Congress, so at the federal level. It extends, though, under the auspices, ironically enough, of a pro-gun decision, which is, I believe, McDonald versus Chicago. That is that the premise of the Constitution also extends to the states in the general capacity. So if it extends to the national government, it would extend to the states as well, that particular protection. Honestly, I don't know why Christians would think that it was a win to do this. I mean, it's a lawsuit that you lose. It forces it into the national headlines. It makes it look like you're proselytizing to public school kids. It's not a good look. Sir Thomas Drake, at least now we know how Cooking Inferno got his name. Soy-free Warhammer, will Republican poll watchers be a factor in the Lake states or will they get shut out? It's hard to tell. Short Stack, hey Sticks, big fangirl of your stuff. I'm glad my prayers since 2021 were answered to save patriotic values. I'm so glad people are going to vote. I was scared hearing so many that didn't. Yes, everyone needs to vote. Just fucking register, fucking take 10 minutes out of your time. Doesn't matter if your state is far red, far blue. It adds to the national popular vote. If we can get a few million extra people just to participate and say fuck it, then that alone would go a long way. Anthony Rodriguez. If Trump gets anywhere near the quantity of votes he did in 2020, he wins the popular vote easily. I doubt people turn out for camel toe like for Biden. Yeah, especially without the lockdownerism going on. I agree. Rambam 3000. Midnight's Edge has done a new version of the original 1922 Nosferatu and a retrospective. Check them out. That sounds pretty cool. Dis Nika is shit posting over on Rumble. I don't mind if you say that sort of thing. It's just either pay me or, space it out a little bit more, okay? Mr. Baker, praise Enlil, praise Enki. Yes, Enki, the brave and wise. Vanity Fair running a fluff piece. They're fundamentally right, but for all the wrong reasons. Kamala Harris isn't repeating the mistakes of 2016. Donald Trump might still win. Oh, they're admitting to what they formerly professed to be impossible. But it won't be for Democrats' lack of a well-organized campaign. Oh, I love this. Oh, it's time to cut this to shreds. I love tattering these arguments. They are fundamentally right. Kamala Harris is not repeating the same mistakes that Hillary Clinton repeated, that Hillary Clinton engaged in. She's making a whole new set of mistakes. Whereas Hillary Clinton generally answered questions and was coherent. You can call her evil. You can say that her ideas are bullshit, but you can't call her incoherent. Even now, she's capable of stringing her sentences together in a very cutthroat and very shrewd way. She's a good public speaker, actually. If there's one bit of credit we can give to Hillary Clinton. Yeah, she's pretty good at public speaking. Is Kamala good at public speaking? No. When Hillary Clinton said, "We came, we saw, he died," in regards to Gaddafi, and then said, "Wahahaha," it was considered odd. We considered that bizarre. Why? Because normally she didn't act like that. Normally she was more of a sourpuss than anything else. With Kamala, it's expected that she's going to cackle when something that is not necessarily a pleasant subject is brought up. It's completely different. She's making different mistakes. It's not that she's not making them. The Vanity Fair article is like, oh, she's so perfect compared to Hillary. By the way, Clinton reading this article, she must have pooped her pants and then downed another bottle and thrown it at Bill's head. To be negatively compared to Kamala Harris, you have to go some. She's making different mistakes. She's not done a presser yet, a major press conference, in the entire time that she's been there. Hillary Clinton hammed it up all the time. She did dozens of them. Whenever possible, she'd do pressers. Kamala Harris is flush, but she's misusing the money. Whereas Clinton, after the campaign, when she did her own campaign autopsy, was like, well, the DCCC didn't free up enough money. I had to do fundraisers all the time. I had to take time off of campaigning. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, avoids doing any form of pressers or anything like that and single-mindedly campaigns mainly in echo chambers, going to Detroit with Lizzo and Usher and things like that. It's a little bit different now, isn't it? Hillary Clinton had the problem of trying to micromanage state party membership and draining their capabilities to flood her own campaign while denying the down balloters. Kamala Harris has the problem of not working with the state functions at all. There's a literal civil war between Kamala Harris's people and the state function, for example, in Pennsylvania. I reported on that a couple of days ago. So she's still making mistakes, very elementary ones in some cases, but they're different mistakes. Instead of being coherent but evil, she's incoherent and therefore doesn't get her point across at all. Mistake after mistake after mistake, but they're different ones. They're not the same mistakes. And this is what the article completely glosses over. I found that hilarious. When I'm reading this article, just looking at the title, I thought it was funny. Then I delved into it and I went from hee-hee to har-har. I probably sounded like Kamala Harris by the end. Pablo Mio. Good morning. You are looking good today, brother. Check out Hacksman on YouTube. He has a DIY, but also does synth music. Ooh, I like synth music. Some of it is free license. Don't know him, but it sounds good. Clank. Yeah, there's all sorts of musical talent these days. This just doesn't get on the radio, unless it's the alternative channel. Pedos should be off. Ken Paxton going after ActBlue. See his Twitter. Yeah, ActBlue, the biggest bundler for liberal causes. Tony the Greaser. Sup, cats and chicks. Stay greasy. Sparky, maybe Tim is taking the opportunity to bow out for a bit in an effort to break his secret contract with the Daily Wire, since his conscience would no longer support genocide as the contract requires? I don't know. I have to ask him. I'm not questioning the integrity of Kamala's virtue. I'm just asking, why does she have landing lights on her thighs? Mike the Wop. Clank. This is all YouTube will let me type, unfortunately. How sad. Lord of the Ree. I can't give Kamala too much flack for laughing at inappropriate times. I burst out laughing multiple times when I watched Terrifier 1 and 2. Art the Clown is hilarious. Clank. Yeah, I laugh at crazy shit too, but not dead children. If it's like fictional depictions, like a horror movie, that's fine. It's not real. It's a bunch of actors and shit. Like when I was watching Fight Club and the dude gets Lou down and starts bleeding all over his face and shrieking in his face and going crazy, I thought that was fucking hysterical. If something like that happened in real life, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Sigil Stone. Can you imagine Hillary Clinton and Kamala on stage live and Hillary bends over Kamala, pulls... I don't know if I can actually read something like that on YouTube. Pulls out her phallus and starts making love to Kamala. I guess I'll frame it that way. Yeah, YouTube doesn't have as much of a sense of humor these days. Will Trump outperform polls again in 2024? You've got to understand, in 2016, Trump outperformed by almost 2 points. That is, in the final polling versus the actual result, there was a swing of nearly 2 points. In 2020, it was about, I think, 1.1 points thereabouts. And you had a significant swing in the swing states. It's like 5 points in Wisconsin, etc. If you were to have exactly the same end result, that is a shift of anywhere from half a point to a couple of points, Trump will run away with this election. And by run away, I mean he will absolutely crush Kamala Harris. He'd win all of the competitive states. He'd probably pick off a blue wall state, probably Virginia. And he would end up winning the national popular vote. If that happens, I'll be very, very happy, by the way. I'm hoping that this occurs. And looking at certain early voting trends, there is hope that that could happen. People need to make sure to register. If you're not registered, get registered. Go out and vote for Trump. Vote down ballot, your conscience, but at least fill in all the boxes, because otherwise somebody else might fill them in for you. We've seen shenanigans like that before. But vote for Trump. And it doesn't matter if you're in a far red or far blue state. Still counts towards the national popular vote. And then get somebody else who's reluctant to go, get them registered and bring them to vote. Make sure to knock on a door, harvest a ballot, do whatever you need to do. You know, your next door neighbor's a little bit crippled up. You say, oh, here's a ballot. You can fill it out, and I'm harvesting your ballot. Make sure to conform to any state laws that might apply, by the way, in so doing. Don't get yourself in trouble with felony charges. If that happens, Donald Trump can't help but win. Here's the elephant in the room, though. We don't know what that differential will be or in which direction it swings. If you look at historical patterns over the last few elections, presidential or otherwise, it would seem that Trump will get a boost. But we don't know how big that boost is going to be or if it's evenly applied. If it's evenly applied, then even if it's small and if it's in his favor, he's going to run away with the election. Ultimately, though, even if it was against his favor in a couple of points fashion, which is entirely possible, by the way, he'd still probably win the electoral vote. He just wouldn't win the national popular vote. All right, I'm going to have to mute that particular user because he just won't stop. Again, you can pay me or you can spam less. Boromir of Gondor, one does not simply donate to Styx. Clank. Cooking Inferno, Styx, you should add a weekend live chat on Rumble only so we can get away with all the naughty fun. I've thought about that, yeah. It's just my schedule has been nuts lately anyway. Bradane, why do you dislike Christianity but embrace its occult and darker aspects? I don't dislike Christianity at all. I have no problem with it. Tomes Esquire, hey, I'm an attorney and gun owner. Just FYI, I'd advise not to ever discuss recent drug use as a gun owner considering federal law, including marijuana. Just a tip. I have no recent drug use. I don't use marijuana. So don't worry. I'm not on any drugs. Well, I mean, I'm on caffeine. If the government ever prevents caffeine users from owning guns, then I'm like, yeah, I guess I have to flip a coin. Sparky, go and Sarala, fight the power. Lemon curd. Sticks, can we see a garden update to admire the size of your pumpkins? The garden has been frosted over and most of it's dead other than some herbs. And the collards, they're invincible. They last forever. But I'm not going to bother doing another garden update this year because of the bullshit that happened in Louisiana. The garden got dilapidated again. I'm going to have to find time to clean it out probably over the next week. I need to mow. I need to hay the paths. I'd like to go pumpkining, actually, for Halloween. You know, it's a week away. Well, a little more than a week, but... Christus Dominus, why isn't Christ Lord? Indulge us. Well, he can be your Lord if you want to. I'm just saying he's not mine. And the natural rebuttal will be, well, he's everyone's, and I disagree with you. And I have no problem with that. Jesus is just all right with me, though. Uplifted a lot of people, not that the Christian church has. I'm not anti-spiritual. I have strong spiritual beliefs. As far as theism goes, I'm an apatheist. I don't care. I'm just irreligious. Arguably anti-religious in the general, sense, in the general organized sense. You want to form a church with your local community and stuff and read from the common book of prayer like the old-time American Christians did. Nothing wrong with that. It's uplifting, builds a sense of community. You can help and help alike and, be a good community. Love one another and shit. That's what Jesus commanded you to do. Sparky, bricks is well beyond Eastern Europe. Didn't you get the memo? Yes, I did. Cooking Inferno. Sadly, you also missed out on a lot of mushroom foraging, which would make a great video. Next year, my friend. Next year. Oh, yeah. Anthony Rodriguez. Monster Irish Cream Coffee. Yes, indeed. The best thing that Monster has ever made. Can't live without it, Adam M. Is there any chance Democrats might intentionally rig ballots in Trump's favor only to overturn the results later? No, there's no chance of that. That would make absolutely no sense at all. Sigil, paganism is cringe. Only through Jesus are we saved. Again, that's your opinion. Sparky, build a better world with bricks. Yeah, so the whole world can be like China or cold Siberia or as heavily polluted as parts of India. I don't think that's a great idea. I believe in the Western world. I just believe it needs desperate reform to be more Western and less Easternized. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Despite not having a stomach, Sigil just made me puke up my breakfast. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Yeah, there's a difference between the high and low church movements. The high church is ritualism, a la Romanism. It infected the Protestant movement. The low church generally read from the common book of prayer. Then people would have their home Bibles and they'd read their conscience, basically. And they would hold communion with one another. And they didn't do the stained glass and the popery sort of thing. They had a community. This tended to be a facet, especially in New England. There aren't many trappings of the low church movement left. You still find some of it in New England and certain rural areas in the country, but a lot of it has become Romanized. Joseph G., energy drinks rot your teeth. Not if you brush. Stephen Vaughn, I'm in Washington and we are getting flooded with Kamala ads. They are nervous. I noticed a considerably larger number, and this is Vermont. Now, Rutland is more of the swing state part of Vermont. It's about 50-50. I've noticed an extreme uptick in the amount of Trump signs and things Trump related, and a fairly diminutive amount of Kamala Harris, Tim Walz stuff compared to 2020. In 2020, it was a lot more Biden Harris, relatively little Trump. Now I'd say it's about 2-1 in favor of Trump. And this is Rutland. So it's not blue or red. It's a swing area. But if it's indicative of a larger trend, I think that there will be tens of thousands more votes for Trump this time around in the state of Vermont. Sigil, Bonehead has a job at a factory for classroom anatomy skeletons. He polishes the big bones. Just drink coffee. I hate energy drinks. I drink both. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Hey, clankers and sticks. A lot of appointments lately. Sorry I've missed streams. New sticks, glassware, and Halloween glassware available. All art /glassware /Halloween /spoons. Buy two, get a one 50% off. No code needed. Wasted Bonehead. The East Bloc is cringe. Agreed. Sparky. Spoil BlackRock's plan. Make Ukraine Russia again. No, thank you. Yeah, Red Bull is good. Monster's good. Coffee's good. Basically, anything caffeinated is good. Yeah, just have a seltzer water and crush up a no-dose pill in it. That's perfectly fine. Put in some isotonic drink beverage, from an MRE, and you're ready to go. King of Biltong. Here's Anton. One of two. We are running a meat challenge with a first prize of $600. Buy 2 pounds of biltong over a 4-week period between now and December 24th, including biltong in your diet, increasing your protein intake for 4 weeks. Post a weight pic on day 1 and again on day 28. Tag our pages on X, Instagram, or Facebook showing your progress. Use Fit24 on www.biltongusa.com for auto enrollment and a 10% discount on your purchase. That's what I'm talking about. Lord of the Ree. The church never uplifted anyone, sure, except for making the first schools and hospitals, and has done more charitable good than any other religion or government. Credit where it's due, just saying. No, schools and hospitals date to pagan times, actually. They already existed. Not just academies. It's a mythology that was dreamed up by revisionists, actually. The basic premise of education for the, at least the upper classes, was a thing. Wasted Bonehead. Sigil is just jealous. He has a small bone. Webster's Wares. Good morning, clankers. Free shipping using code STICKS at websterswares.com. New Halloween tumblers and fall decor available. Election night giveaways at websterswares.com/election2024 giveaways. Lord of the Ree. Obviously, people have done fucked up shit in God's name, but that doesn't negate the fact that it's objectively done the most good for the world. I dislike the charlatans as well, but credit where it's due. Depends on the denomination, the time period, and its practices. And what foreign cultures it may or may not have been encountering at the time. Phoenix. Is there any chance that Trump wins the election but doesn't make it to inauguration due to another unaliving attempt? Unfortunately, yeah, that's always a risk within politics. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'm going to go offline a little bit early today because I got so much to do. I got to cash a bunch of checks and shit like that. Cooking Inferno, Lord of the Red, Freemasonry and Knights Hospitalier have done far more to the poor for the poor than any church. Let's see. Why is my hair all weird right there? There's always that one swatch of hair that goes the wrong way, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Thought about just tousling it up and then put hairspray in it, look like it's a 1985 or something like that. That would be funny. Maybe like sticks. Ooh. Huh. All right. Sparky, China's quality of life has surpassed many countries in the West. If the West is to save its slide, it must first admit this and find out what China's doing right. Hypercapitalism, ironically, but it's always subjugate to authoritarian state control. Basically, hey, you can exploit workers, you can drive down wages, you can dump your toxic waste as long as you grease some local officials' palms and you don't speak out against the government. We're moving, unfortunately, steadily towards that fascistic China-style system, and I disagree with the premise. I prefer to have actual capitalism, actual free markets, free trade, and to be left the fuck alone to my own devices because I can determine better than any government what I should be doing at any given time. I think I've shown that based on my entirely self-branded success. Anyways, I'm going to go offline now. One more. Festiva. Silence the CCP shill up, someone please. Yeah, well, China will become a non-issue in the next decade. India is going to eclipse them, and then there's going to be infighting within BRICS. That's my prediction. Been predicting it for years. There's already a foreshock or two of that now. So yeah, I'm going to go offline. I got to do my news collation, although I've already got half the docket full for tomorrow. Do some more polls and shit like that. It will be fun, but I've got checks to cash. I've got things to do. I will be back tomorrow with more hard-hitting news and analysis. That's about all. Peace out.